When you've done something to get yourself put into prison, you do your time, play by the rules, and have faith that your time inside will come to an end and you will be set free again. That's the hope, anyway. Hello there. Welcome back to another night filled with tales of terror. So how's everybody doing? I hope you're all doing great. Everybody's good and healthy. So tonight's story is about a girl named Maggie. A little background on Maggie. So a few years ago, Maggie and her boyfriend got into some trouble with the law. They were sentenced to prison, where Maggie has now just completed her sentence and is now going to be on her way to a group home for women. Her real dilemma starts when she gets on the bus that's going to take her and another group of female inmates to this group home for their rehabilitation. So, like in all my other videos, you're probably going to question whether the story is true or not true. And here's where I ask that you just hang on till the end of the video so we can all find out together. Now, get comfortable. Click the like and subscribe buttons. It really helps me out. Leave me a comment down below to whether or not you think this story is true or not true. Turn down the lights and let's begin. Maggie, a young inmate in a women's prison, was sitting in her cell staring at the entrance. She looked anxious, ready to bolt at any given second. She could hear the click of footsteps on the concrete floor, moving closer and closer to her cell. Come on, she whispered as she started chewing on her fingernails. Just keep it together, she told herself. This is it. It's almost done. Maggie opened her eyes as the footsteps stopped right in front of the entrance of her cell. With a big exhale, she stood up and smiled. Two guards were standing at the cell entrance looking at her. One of the guards had a hard, scary toughness about him. He's got to be at least 6'7". He's skinny, but he's got muscles, Maggie thought to herself. God, he looks mean. The other guard was a female. She was shorter than Maggie, and she had dark hair and even darker eyes. She looked over Maggie with what felt like jealousy. As an inmate in a woman's prison, Maggie managed to keep herself looking fresh and pretty. She trembled when the tall guy spoke to her with his authoritative voice. Margaret Blythe, gather your property and come with us. As quickly as she could, Maggie snatched a plastic trash bag filled with her belongings while the guards unlocked the cell door. Stay cool. It's almost done, Maggie again told herself, and with a timid smile, she thanked the guards as she stepped out of her cell for the last and final time. They didn't respond. They kept their disposition as the male guard simply said, "This way," and took the lead, walking down the hallway with the other guard walking behind Maggie. It's really happening. I'm really leaving this hellhole. Maggie did everything in her power to keep from jumping for joy. Other inmates saw that she was leaving. She couldn't help herself. She smiled big and happy as she waved goodbye. Some called out to her with wishes of congratulations and wishes for good luck, while a few others spat out lewd remarks, which no longer surprised Maggie. There they are, the large doors she'd only walked through once the entire time she was here. She thought she'd never see the day she would walk through those doors again. It felt so surreal. This prison had been her home for the past 5 years, and now it was finally her turn to pass through those glorious doors. But then fear seized her, and her walking slowed. What am I going to do once I pass through these doors? Who am I going to be? She asked herself. The female guard ordered her to keep walking, but her voice sounded distant to Maggie. It was like she was suddenly in a dream or a nightmare. She wasn't sure. The male guard turned to see Maggie standing frozen, so he barked an order at her to keep moving. That snapped her out of the dismal trance she'd just put herself in. Now at the doors, Maggie held her breath as the male guard unlocked and opened the doors. Move your feet, she told herself. As Maggie passed through the doorway, a cool, sweet breeze hit her, causing her goosebumps. It's air conditioning, and it works. I haven't felt this since I don't even know when, she smiled as she thought to herself. Keep moving, the guard said as he led Maggie to a door with a sign on it that read, Counselor Lopez. With a quick knock on the door from the male guard, Maggie heard a female voice answer, Come in. The male guard opened the door, and looking down at Maggie, he gestured for her to go inside. Good luck to you, miss, Maggie heard the male guard say as they turned to leave her with Counselor Lopez, a woman she'd never met before. Maggie was nervous all over again. What if I say something wrong and she puts me back in? But Counselor Lopez seemed nice enough. Come in, have a seat, she offered. She had Maggie's case file in front of her. So, you think you're ready to transition out, Maggie? She asked. Maggie sat up and answered her nervously. Yes, ma'am, I do. Counselor Lopez looked back at Maggie's file. Says you were a nurse. She didn't seem the least bit impressed. Yes, ma'am, I was. I am a nurse. Maggie was getting more nervous now, if that was even possible. Counselor Lopez looked at her again. A nurse with a drug problem. Stay cool, Maggie told herself. I'm in recovery. Counselor Lopez was totally indifferent to Maggie. Well, that's great, Margaret. You now have a chance to prove it. I've been clean for 5 years now, Maggie nervously said. We have a great recovery program here, Counselor Lopez answered back as she typed away on her keyboard. With one last tap, she sat back and the printer began to spit sheets of paper from it. After Counselor Lopez organized the documents, she told Maggie they changed where she would be going. She would no longer be going to the transitional house in downtown Los Angeles, but instead to a facility that just reopened into a sanatorium. What? I don't understand, Maggie blurted. They have plenty of beds, and this place will give you a better opportunity of success when you're ready to leave, Counselor Lopez told her. This will be the best thing for you. Give you a stronger chance at a successful transition back into the world. Maggie was being sent to Hope Sanatorium. Counselor Lopez told Maggie that they have state-of-the-art technology and an amazing staff. The place resides within a lovely desert setting and it's a quiet location. Maggie, you're going to love it, she said. Counselor Lopez and Maggie both stood up. You'll be there for 5 months. After that, it's up to you and your doctors, she told Maggie with indifference. Maggie turned to the doorway where there were 2 big, mean-looking female guards waiting to escort Maggie out to the office. As the guards escorted Maggie out of the prison, one handed her an envelope and a wish of good luck. Maggie immediately noticed the air wasn't as fresh as she'd hoped for. She had planned to take in a whiff of freedom when she was out of that place. Instead, all she got was hot air filled with cow manure and fumes from an old bus waiting to take her to her new destination. The bus driver was a man maybe in his 40s. He had white skin with inky black hair and eyes. He smirked at her as she got on the bus. Maggie saw that there were 4 other women on the bus already. They were all inmates about the same age as her. No one made eye contact with anyone. They were all trapped in their own little worlds. Maggie sat towards the front of the bus as the bus driver closed the automatic doors. He turned and looked at all of them, then without expression told them his name was Vincent and that they would be making 2 stops. When he finished with his sentence, Maggie noticed a strange twinkle in Vincent's eyes. Vincent gave one last look at the girls, slid into the driver's seat, and they were on their way. Maggie rummaged through her belongings, an old dead cell phone and a tattered wallet, which she opened immediately and found a picture of Aaron, the true love of her life. She heard he was jumped and killed in prison. She slipped his picture back into her wallet and sighed sadly. She opened the envelope the guard had given her. $200 was inside, a farewell gift from prison. Now settled in, she did a quick scan of the bus. Everyone was minding their own business. A couple of the women were already sleeping. She began to turn back and made eye contact with one of the women. Her hair was dark and in braids. She had dark, beautiful skin with big brown eyes. Name's Rhonda. What's yours? Margaret, but everyone calls me Maggie, she told her. Rhonda nodded in response. Another inmate by the name of Janelle called out to Maggie. Hey, Margaret or Maggie, whatever the hell your name is, take it down a notch. Some of us would like to get some sleep while we get to wherever the fuck we're getting to. Maggie sized her up. Janelle was small, but you could tell she was a scrapper. Janelle turned and looked at Elsie, another inmate on the bus who had been staring at her. What you looking at? Janelle demanded. Don't know, trying to figure it out, Elsie shot back. Suddenly, another inmate named Tammy yelled out at everyone, just shut up. She reminded them they were all stuck inside this shit can for who knows how long. Maggie noticed that Tammy was a big girl. She had a stern look about her and she was bossy. So with a few murmurs of protest, everyone shut up and either closed their eyes to try to sleep or watched the dirty, boring scene outside the window. Maggie sensed she was being watched. She looked around, but the others were still minding their own business. She looked at the front of the bus. It was Vincent. He was watching her in his mirror. His black eyes were piercing. She knew she didn't like him immediately. He scared her. Maggie turned her attention back to looking out of her window. All she could see were old desolate fields that probably sustained much of life back in the day. She thought to herself how it would really suck to get lost out there, and shivered with loneliness and doom. 5 months of going God knows where, drained from the adrenaline spikes that occurred throughout the day, made Maggie feel tired. The humming rhythm of the tires on the road lulled Maggie into a deep sleep. But this wasn't a pleasant sleep. She felt agitated and scared. The bus stopped at a lone gas station. The sound of the bus doors opening woke everyone up. "We're in the middle of the desert, so keep that in mind as you exit the bus," Vincent said. Tisks and huffs of indignance were heard as they shuffled out of the bus. Maggie slipped on the steps as she exited the bus. Vincent looked at her and said, "Careful there, magpie." That stopped Maggie cold in her tracks. She looked up at Vincent. Aaron used to call her Magpie. "You need something?" Vincent asked in his ever so cool and polite way. Maggie looked at him for another second. "No, I'm fine." She grabbed her bag of belongings and made her way off the bus. "Aaron, I miss you so much," she thought sadly as she walked. The day was blindingly bright, and if not for the breeze, it would have been miserably hot. Maggie's long red hair whipped around in the breeze, which had suddenly kicked up and began swirling the dirt from the ground. Maggie watched, fascinated by the dust devils whirling and swirling dirt and debris. After a moment of watching this, Maggie looked over to the bathroom and saw there was no longer a line. Squinting her eyes from the glare of the sun, she walked towards the entrance to the girls' bathroom. Disgust came over her face as she looked inside. It was old and dirty. It looked like you could catch a disease if you touched anything. But she had to go, so she reached for the door only to have it slam wide open, knocking her to the ground. What the fuck? Well, we're gonna have to leave it here for now, but I will be releasing part 2 shortly, so we can find out together what's going to happen to Maggie and the other women on the bus. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of Maggie's story and that you stay tuned for part 2. And like always, if you enjoy dark and scary stories, be sure to check out my other videos on my channel. So before we say goodnight, I just want to ask you to please click the like and subscribe buttons for me. Leave me a comment down below. And prepare for more tales of terror delivered to you weekly at 3 a.m. So until next time, stay safe and stay scary.